Good evening. Welcome to a special edition of Elevated Intel. My name is Jodi James, and I'm the president of Florida Cannabis Action Network. With me tonight is
Cynthia Brewer, not the president of FL Can, but a very enthusiastic board member.
not bored like you're wishing you had something else to do, but like
This is
leadership
exactly where I
team.
want to be. This is where I want to
Excellent.
be.
And we certainly are glad to have you. Tonight we're going to talk just for a very brief edition of Elevated Intel. We're going to talk about federal rescheduling, what we know and what you need to know in a quick minute. Just to bring you up to date, we have heard a lot of rumblings from all sorts of news outlets that President Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order that is going to remove cannabis from Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substance Act and remove it down to Schedule 3. Before we go too much further, I just want to remind you that until the ink is dry on an executive order, nothing's nothing, and the details remain to be seen. He's given some very uh, succinct executive orders and some very broad executive orders. So there's a lot we need to know. Cynthia, you've been doing quite a bit of research on this topic. Folks can go back to a couple of our previous elevated intels if they want more details. But the long and the short of it, you have a quick synopsis about where we're at, do you?
I hope so. So
I hope so too.
we'll start with after more than 5 decades of federal prohibition, the efforts to reschedule marijuana represent a symbolic and much overdue acknowledgement that cannabis is in fact medically beneficial. So classifying marijuana with drugs like heroin under federal law perpetuated a policy of fiction that has outlived its credibility, to be honest, and has proven indefensible, in my opinion. So while rescheduling may stop short of comprehensive reform, it does represent one of the most consequential drug policy changes in our lifetime. So I say that with conviction. However, reclassifying cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a 3 controlled substances would not legalize, would not decriminalize, nor would it end federal prohibition of cannabis. That's something we all just need to make, uh, you know, peace with. It's just not going to help us much. As far as what it will do, it will provide plant touching businesses very important tax relief from punitive, 280E, which is going to be really beneficial for those types of businesses, but there's not a lot of them. There's a lot of ancillary support businesses. Rescheduling will provide and open the door for federally funded clinical research on cannabinoid-based therapies, which is huge. I thought you were about to sneeze. Which is huge, but it also does create a little bit of fear in the industry with how that relates to big pharma. So, your thoughts?
I think that I was having trouble breathing there for a
Oh
minute.
God.
So, I really want to be clear that this is a next step, not a final step. It absolutely does not solve everything. I'm
Mm-mm.
so glad that you brought up that this is not going to legalize or decriminalize cannabis. I think that people need to realize that even if the executive order was signed today, it's not going to change anything overnight. Even under emergency rulemaking, things can take years. So the landscape of cannabis businesses, we've talked a lot about it this month. Hemp businesses are changing their business model due to new federal regulations. When HB 719 was introduced here in Florida, doctors' offices and other businesses needed to start to look at their business model to see how that was going to go. There is another shift coming.
Oh yeah,
This
definitely.
will absolutely. Now, states do have the opportunity to maintain their program.
Mm-hmm.
This is again where we do not have in Florida an automatic trigger. Some states, if they reschedule cannabis to Schedule 3, the state will automatically schedule cannabis to Schedule 3, and there's some definite requirements for Schedule 3 drugs that we want to keep in mind, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the program that you are currently operating under, whether you're in Florida or someplace else, is automatically going to go away. It's not. Don't jump off the cliff.
Just don't. Just
Give me the
come
baby.
off
Is that
the
what you said?
ledge.
Just
Give
give
me
me
the
the baby.
baby.
Give me the baby. That's right. Um, just like we talked about strong opposition to the changes that we are looking at the state level, there has been amazingly strong opposition to rescheduling at the federal level. Most recently, it was the drug testing industry that's like, whoa, we're not ready for this. Drug Free America continues to say that we don't have enough data to support legalization, but of course they don't want to support rescheduling, which would allow us to get great data on this. We did want to talk a little bit about, again, remind you what the federal requirements are for Schedule 3 drugs. We have a list of those. Cynthia, you want to go over that list for us real quick?
Yeah, so to have so the current list of Schedule 3 drugs that are on the horizon, they have to be FDA approved and they have to be manufactured in an FDA approved and DEA approved facility. And they can only be sold by people that also qualify under those agencies. FDA approval for a drug in Schedule 3 status or classification is very extensive. The amount of data that they have to submit to endorse their product for a specific ailment is substantial. So you don't have to worry about Big Pharma coming in and taking all your weed. Dispensary marijuana will not be on a retail shelf, like a traditional retail shelf. So it's not going to be sold in Walmart, but like for it to go through the process of DEA classification is going to be incredibly intense. I've done it myself a few times for the laboratory to get certified, and it was in vain, but they were very polite when they were visiting. So, and they like coming to visit, but yeah, it's not easy. So yes, I can understand how some people would be concerned about how am I going to become DEA certified or get up to standards with FDA compliance. Well, it's become a big pharmaceutical company and you can do it. It's not like it's going to create a pathway for marijuana retailers per se. That can be something, they are very strict. Anabolic steroids are in there, coding is in there. All of these things are strictly regulated and had to go through an approval process that was pretty stringent.
Well, and devices, we were talking about if you have a marijuana, if you were to get your marijuana cigarette approved and then you change the filter on it, the filter is a new marijuana delivery device.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you would have to get that device approved.
Any changes, even the cannabinoid-based therapy strain or genetics that you're using or claiming to use in your patent-based product as an FDA compliant manufacturer, you can't just change up the strain. The strain and the patent go together for that therapy. So it's going to be very difficult for companies to start selling it in CVS.
Anytime soon. So the long and the short of it is nothing changes overnight.
No.
Many states will be able to maintain their program. We have been operating as medical marijuana program in the state of Florida under constitutional mandate since 2016. We still have a constitutional mandate to provide a medical marijuana program for the patients in the state of Florida. Nothing about that is going to change. Nothing in Schedule 3 is going to override that. Tomorrow, for states that do have an automatic, again, they can create programs that are going to allow this to be an exception to the program, a lot like we have exceptions to criminal statutes. And we don't know yet exactly what the executive order would do. So Schedule 3, will it be a benefit? What is the industry saying? Will it be a benefit to the industry?
Depends who you talk to. There's a lot of people that are screaming, obviously the fire and brimstone, that they could, different businesses could be looking at felony charges for felony prescription drug sale without a license, felony misbranding of a drug, felony illegal distribution, and of course throw on a couple of RICO just for flavor, if you're
That's
feeling
very true.
nasty. And these are things that we don't have to face right now. Some states, possession charges of cannabis is a slap on the wrist or a fine or a nothing or a misdemeanor. It's ours obviously can go up to a felony, but these are all felonious charges to be looking at with heavy time for, operating like selling a drug without a license. That's
Right.
serious. So some people are also saying that in the event that the big pharma gets involved, it would be at the capacity for those who want their insurance to cover the use of medical cannabis for an ailment that they have been diagnosed with through a provider who does think cannabis is beneficial, going to a pharmacy that has the approved medication from the FDA. That would be a channel in which the insurance agencies would cover it for free or for a discount. But if the rest of us don't want to do it that way and we just want cannabis, it looks like some people are optimistic this is going to be a good thing.
Okay. Well, will remain to be seen. Florida Cannabis Action Network wants to make sure that the products that are available are providing people relief, that we have access, and that ultimately these products are affordable. I think anybody who thinks that this is going to really significantly impact the fight to have personal individual access to the plant, I don't know that this is going to do much for us except normalize people who use cannabis through medicinal channels. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of that. The struggle continues. Florida Cannabis Action Network is going to be at the Capitol. We really have not seen any reason to believe that this will significantly impact anything that's happening at the state level for at least another several years. But the way to make sure that you know is to follow Elevated Intel, to join Florida Cannabis Action Network, because members know first and have a say in the course of action that we take. Anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up, Cynthia?
Absolutely not.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming out for us this evening. We'll be back on Friday at 4:20 on Elevated Intel. I'm sure we'll have more information. Should we see an executive order from the president, from President Trump in the White House, we will do an analysis here live on Facebook so that you are confident that that if you are following Florida Cannabis Action Network, you are in the know. Thank you all very much. You have a great night.
Bye.
Imagine standing shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of Floridians, business owners, and advocates inside the state capitol, ready to make real change. That's what Cannabis at the Capitol is all about. The signature Lobby Day and Education Expo from the Florida Cannabis Action Network, where voices intersect with policy and passion turns into progress. For just $50 for individuals, you'll gain access to expert briefings, self-guided meetings with lawmakers, and the power to influence Florida's cannabis future. For businesses, $300 unlocks premium access. Connect with decision makers, showcase your enterprise, and build alliances in a fast-growing sector. Whether you're a medical patient seeking stronger access, an entrepreneur navigating regulations, or a company ready to stand at the forefront of industry change, this is your platform. One day in Tallahassee could shift a lifetime of regulation. Join us. Be present. Be heard. Be the change at Cannabis at the Capitol.